traps women. Trap traps women. Trap traps women. The war on women is a war on people. War on women is a war on people.
Good morning, good morning. I am Delegate Juwan Ward, and I am so proud to represent the 92nd House District, which is the majority of the city of Hampton. You see, I come armed with my notes because anyone who has served with me in the General Assembly knows that I'm much better with notes, because without, there's no telling what might come out of my mouth when it's an issue that I'm passionate about. Now, when I was first elected to the House in 2003, that was nearly 10 years ago, I had never thought that we would see this type of a spectacle, this type of a debacle, this type of a nightmare that we saw last year. Now, as my colleagues have already mentioned, you know, we were the punchline of late night comments and the regular topic on newscasts last year. But I remember a time in Virginia when we led the country in women's health care. We were the first state in the country to require that 12-year-old girls would receive the HPV vaccine, which of course could lead to cervical cancer, which is really the highest cause of death among women. And I was very proud to sponsor that legislation. But in just 1 year, look where we have fallen. I would have never thought that some 40 years ago, with the passage of Roe v. Wade, that we would be still standing here today fighting and talking about birth control and how it works. But surely that's not what my constituents sent me here to do. But last year I was forced to have that conversation because of legislation like personhood, mandatory ultrasound, HPV vaccine repeal, and the list just goes on and on. But most of those measures were advanced by males in that body. But I want to be very clear that many members of both chambers and many men throughout the Commonwealth have fervently supported women's health issues and thought that it was just foolishness, and it absolutely is. But the fact still remains that that legislation advanced last year and was submitted by individuals who will never become pregnant. And that's why on the floor last year, I told all my colleagues to let the women speak. Because when we are debating issues that deal with a woman's body, we should let the voice of women be a part of that conversation. Because when women speak and we are heard, good policy is passed. When we speak and we are heard, you don't have to debate whether or not it's reasonable for the state to require invasive medical procedures. When we speak and we are heard, you don't have to debate what is and what isn't birth control. When we speak and we are heard, you have reasonable conversation about whether we should require that our girls and boys are vaccinated against the human papilloma virus. When we speak and we are heard, you don't end up arresting 30 individuals on the Capitol steps because they felt it necessary to protest their rights, to make decisions about their bodies, because they felt it necessary to get arrested because they were not being heard. This is what happens when lawmakers speak and when we are heard. And that is why we are here today, because 40 years ago we were finally heard in the United States Supreme Court. But 40 years after the Supreme Court decided Roe v. Wade, the conversation has changed, and it is even more fundamental. The conversation about whether or not the Commonwealth and a bunch of politicians are welcome inside your doctor's examination room. I know they are not. It's about whether we can trust women in consultation with their doctors, their family, and their faith to make the deeply personal, complex decision to terminate a pregnancy, to have a child, or to choose adoption. I know we can trust women. So it is a fundamental conversation about the right to privacy and self-determination. It is not the fight that I thought I would be waging on the floor of the House of Delegates, not when I came here 10 years ago. But as a woman and a lawmaker, I will continue to speak out about these issues until we are heard. I thank you so much for being here. I thank you for supporting women's health. I thank you for all that you are doing to make the Commonwealth the best place in this union. May God bless us all.